Welcome to my channel. Real life wonder. The desert was quiet that morning, almost too quiet. The kind of silence that seeps into your bones before something big happens. Sergeant Daniel Brooks sat inside his small canvas tent at Forward Operating Base Ironclad, a cup of coffee cooling beside him, and a blank sheet of paper in his lap. He had written plenty of letters before, to his mom, his younger brother back in Ohio, even to his old coach who used to tell him that courage wasn't about never being scared, it was about showing up anyway. But this one felt different. His gut told him there might not be another chance to write one. He started slowly, pressing the pencil hard so the words would stay even if the paper got smudged. Mom, if this reaches you, it means I didn't make it home. But I want you to know, I was never afraid. I had the best brothers any man could ask for, and I fought beside them until the very end. He paused, staring at those lines for a long time before folding the paper and tucking it into the inner pocket of his vest. The radio crackled, "Bravo team, move out. We roll in 10. Brooks exhaled, stood up, and grabbed his rifle. Outside, the desert stretched wide and gold, the sunrise spilling over the horizon. Corporal Diaz cracked a grin, as he always did before missions. "You ready, Sarge?" Brooks smirked back. "Born ready." Private Harris, the youngest of them, checked his ammo with shaking hands. Lieutenant Cole, their leader, gave the order, calm, steady, the kind of tone that made you believe you'd see another sunrise. They rolled out across the sand in a convoy of hums, dust trailing behind them like ghosts. The mission seemed simple on paper, secure a small village believed to harbor an insurgent leader. But Brooks had learned long ago that nothing out here was ever simple. When they reached the outskirts, the streets looked deserted, doors half open, the air thick with tension. Cole raised his hand. "Eyes up. Something's off." The first shot echoed like thunder. Machine gun fire burst from the ridge. "Contact front," someone shouted. Brooks dove for cover, sand biting into his face as he returned fire. Bullets snapped past like angry hornets. The radio filled with chaos, shouts, static, confusion. They pushed forward house by house, the enemy unseen but everywhere. Inside one of the clay houses, Brooks kicked a door open and froze. A boy, maybe 12, crouched behind a wall, eyes wide, terrified. Brooks lowered his rifle immediately. "Hey, easy kid. We're not here to hurt you." The boy whispered, broken English and fear tangled in his voice, "They come back, big gun." Brooks's stomach tightened. He turned toward the courtyard, and the explosion hit before he could speak. The blast threw him across the room. His ears rang, the world spinning in slow motion. Dust filled his lungs, pain stabbed through his side. He tried to move, dragging himself toward the sound of his team outside. The Humvee was burning, flames licking the sky. Harris was down. Diaz was screaming into the radio. Cole's voice came through faintly, "We're pinned. Brooks, can you move?" He looked down at the blood spreading across his uniform and gritted his teeth. "I'm coming." He crawled through the rubble, every inch a battle. When he reached them, Cole and Diaz were trapped behind a collapsed wall. Without thinking, Brooks pulled the pin from a smoke grenade and tossed it, the thick white cloud covering their retreat. "Go," he yelled. "Get out of here." Cole shook his head, shouting over the chaos, "Not without you." Brooks forced a grin through the pain. "You trained me too well, sir. Now go." Then he turned and fired again and again, each shot echoing like a heartbeat. He could hear the helicopters approaching, could feel the ground trembling under the rotor wash. For a fleeting second, he thought about that letter. About his mother's kitchen, about the smell of pancakes and old country music. The medevac lifted off moments later with Cole and Diaz inside. From the air, Cole saw Brooks still down there, standing in the smoke, rifle raised, flag patch on his shoulder barely visible through the dust. Then came silence. Days later, when the area was finally secured, they found his body near the wall, his rifle empty, and the letter still folded neatly in his vest. Back at the base, Cole sat under the dim light of his tent and unfolded it carefully. The ink was blurred, the paper burned at the edges, but the words were still clear. "If I didn't make it back, don't feel sorry for me. Tell Mom I died doing what I believed in. Tell Diaz to stop eating all the protein bars. And tell Harris, never lose that smile." Cole read the letter 3 times before tucking it back inside a small plastic pouch. When they returned home, he drove to Ohio himself, in full uniform. Brooks's mother opened the door, eyes tired but strong. She didn't ask questions, she already knew. Cole handed her the letter. She took it with trembling hands, pressed it to her chest, and whispered, "He always kept his word." Months passed. Life went on, as it always does. But some things stayed. At a new Marine training facility, Lieutenant Cole stood in front of a wall lined with brass nameplates. He held one in his hand, Sergeant Daniel Brooks. He placed it gently among the others. Turning to the new recruits, he said, "These aren't just names. They are reminders. Every freedom you enjoy has a cost, and sometimes, that cost wears a smile and calls you brother. He paused, looking out toward the flag swaying in the breeze. The recruit stood silently, understanding without words. In that moment, Cole could almost hear Brooks's laugh, feel that same morning sun from the desert. He smiled faintly. As the camera fades, the letter appears on screen, its handwriting rough but steady. A voice, Brooks's own, reads softly, "Don't cry for me. Be proud. I stood with men who believed in something bigger than themselves. And if that's how I go, then that's a life well lived." The flag flutters one last time as the music swells, quiet, respectful, eternal. The letter he never sent became the one no one will ever forget. United States.